In the heart of Hallow Hill, a small town surrounded by dense woods and rolling hills, there lived a ghost known to all as Billy Bob Horndog. Billy wasn't like the typical malevolent spirits of ghost stories. He was a kind and playful soul who loved to entertain the townsfolk with his harmless pranks. Children would giggle with delight when their toys floated in the air, and adults would chuckle when their morning newspapers seemed to dance on the porch. Billy had been part of the town for so long that people had grown fond of his mischievous antics. Chapter 1. A Day in the Life of Billy Bob Horndog. The sun rose over Hallow Hill, casting a golden hue over the quaint houses and cobblestone streets. Billy floated through the town square, tipping his ethereal hat to the baker who was setting up fresh loaves of bread. "Morning, Billy," the baker called out with a smile. Billy responded by making the bread basket levitate and dance around, drawing laughter from the early risers. As he continued his rounds, Billy saw a group of children playing near the old oak tree. He couldn't resist the opportunity for some fun. He made the leaves rustle and whispered their names, causing them to squeal with delight. "Billy's here! Billy's here!" they chanted, clapping their hands. Billy had been a part of Hallow Hill for over a century. In life, he was William Robert Horndog, a jovial farmer who loved his community. When a tragic accident took his life, his spirit lingered, fueled by his love for the town and its people. Over time, he became a legend, and his ghostly pranks were a cherished tradition. Chapter 2. Stories from the Past. Billy's transition from life to death was not an easy one. He had been a beloved figure in Hallow Hill, always willing to lend a helping hand or share a hearty laugh. When he died, the townsfolk mourned deeply, but his spirit couldn't rest. He found solace in watching over the town and interacting with the living in his playful ways. Old Mrs. Thompson often told stories about young Billy, how he'd sneak up on his friends and scare them, only to break into a heartwarming laugh. She believed his spirit remained because he had unfinished business, not of a somber kind, but the endless need to spread joy. Mrs. Thompson's tales became legendary bedtime stories, painting Billy as a guardian angel with a mischievous streak. Billy's presence was a comfort to many, especially during tough times. He had been known to protect crops from blight, guide lost travelers home, and even save children from dangerous situations. Chapter 3. Billy's relationship with the children. Children were particularly fond of Billy. They saw him as a magical friend who brought excitement to their otherwise ordinary days. Billy would play hide and seek with them, making toys disappear and reappear, and even creating whimsical light shows at night. One summer afternoon, Billy was playing with a group of kids near the town's fountain. He made the water spout in different colors, much to their amazement. "You're the best, Billy," little Timmy exclaimed. Billy's ghostly heart swelled with pride. He enjoyed these moments of pure, innocent joy. He considered the children as his own, watching over them like a guardian angel. He'd often make sure they got home safely, using gentle breezes to guide them on their way. Billy's bond with the children was special. They knew they could call on him for fun or comfort, and he would always be there. He was a silent protector, a friend in the shadows, always ready to bring a smile to their faces. Chapter 4. The Prank. As the summer wore on, the children, now more comfortable with Billy's presence, grew bolder in their antics. They decided to play a prank on Billy, thinking it would be a fun reversal of roles. They concocted a plan to scare him by pretending to be frightened by a new ghost they'd invented. On a moonlit night, they gathered at the town's cemetery, where Billy often liked to roam. They set up their fake ghost, a sheet draped over a stick, with a flashlight for eerie effect. As Billy approached, they screamed and ran, leaving the ghost to confront him. Billy, taken aback, approached the figure. When he realized it was a prank, his usual laughter didn't come. Instead, he felt a pang of hurt. The children's joke had crossed a line, making him feel mocked and unappreciated. Billy's ethereal form flickered, his friendly aura dimming. He turned away, leaving the cemetery in silence. The children, expecting laughter, were left feeling uneasy. They didn't realize the depth of the impact their prank had on Billy's kind heart. Chapter 5. The Consequences. The next morning, the town woke up to find that the usual playful antics of Billy had taken a darker turn. Windows were shattered, livestock was found dead, and an unsettling chill lingered in the air. Billy's once warm and inviting presence had turned cold and menacing. Word spread quickly, and the townsfolk began to whisper in fear. The children who played the prank felt a deep sense of guilt but didn't know how to make things right. They had unintentionally unleashed a darker side of Billy, one that sought revenge for the perceived betrayal. Billy's transformation was complete. He no longer found joy in pranks. His spirit was consumed by a need to instill the fear he had felt. Hallow Hill was no longer the cheerful town it once was. The people lived in constant dread of what Billy might do next. The once comforting presence of Billy was now a shadowy figure of vengeance. His pranks became violent and cruel, leaving the townsfolk in terror. The prank that was meant to be harmless had awakened a ghost's darkest emotions, turning a beloved friend into a feared enemy. Chapter 6. The First Signs of Billy's Wrath. The first fatality came when Mr. Johnson, the town's blacksmith, was found dead in his forge, his body twisted in unnatural ways. The town was in shock. They had never associated Billy with harm, but now it seemed he was capable of deadly violence. As days passed, more deaths occurred, each more gruesome than the last. The town's sense of safety was shattered, and they realized they were dealing with a force beyond their control. Billy's vendetta was clear. He would make them pay for the prank that had broken his ghostly heart. Panic gripped Hallow Hill as the frequency of Billy's attacks increased. Shops were abandoned, and people stayed indoors, hoping to avoid his wrath. The once lively town square was now deserted, a silent testament to the fear that had taken hold. The children, feeling responsible, tried to apologize, but Billy's spirit was beyond reach. His anger had transformed him into a relentless force of retribution. The townsfolk were left with no choice but to seek help from outside their haunted town. Chapter 7. Panic in Hallow Hill. Panic spread through Hallow Hill like wildfire. The townsfolk held emergency meetings, trying to come up with a solution. Some suggested moving away, but their attachment to their homes made it a difficult choice. Others tried to communicate with Billy, leaving gifts and notes, hoping to appease him. But Billy's rage was unquenchable. He saw every gesture as a feeble attempt to placate him, fueling his anger further. The once peaceful nights were now filled with cries of terror and the echoing laughter of a vengeful ghost. The town's efforts to understand Billy's anger led to more questions than answers. Mediums and spiritualists were brought in, but none could reach the spirit that had once been so kind. The people of Hallow Hill were on the brink of despair. The fear of Billy's next move loomed over the town. Children were kept indoors, and adults whispered prayers for protection. The once safe haven of Hallow Hill had turned into a place of nightmares. The people knew they needed to act fast, or their beloved town would be lost to the wrath of a ghost scorned. Chapter 8. The town's efforts to calm Billy. Desperate, the townsfolk sought help from outside. They brought in mediums, priests, and anyone who claimed to have knowledge of the supernatural. But Billy's spirit was too powerful and too angry to be subdued by simple rituals or prayers. The mediums reported back with unsettling news. Billy's spirit was deeply wounded, and only a profound act of contrition or a powerful force could calm him. The town realized they needed more than traditional methods. They needed experts who could face Billy head-on. The mayor of Hallow Hill, Mr. Jenkins, led the efforts to find such experts. He scoured old records and reached out to neighboring towns. The stories of Billy's escalating wrath had spread, and many were reluctant to get involved. But then, word came of a group of renowned ghost exterminators. This team had a reputation for dealing with the most malevolent spirits and bringing peace to haunted places. They were the town's last hope. Chapter 9. The Escalation. Billy's wrath grew bolder. He began to appear in broad daylight, terrorizing people with his ghostly presence. Shops were destroyed, crops were blighted, and the town's economy suffered. The once vibrant community was on the brink of collapse. In their darkest hour, the townsfolk heard of a group of renowned ghost exterminators. This team had a reputation for dealing with the most malevolent spirits and bringing peace to haunted places. They were the town's last hope. The town's elders gathered and decided to reach out to the ghost exterminators. They sent a letter detailing the situation, pleading for immediate assistance. Days passed with no response, and the fear in Hallow Hill grew palpable. Then, one stormy night, a caravan of vehicles arrived at the edge of town. The ghost exterminators had come, bringing with them the promise of hope. The people of Hallow Hill watched with a mix of relief and apprehension as the team began to set up their base of operations. Chapter 10. Introduction of the Ghost Exterminators. The Ghost Exterminators arrived in Hallow Hill one stormy night. Led by the enigmatic and experienced Dr. Evelyn Blackwood, the team comprised individuals with unique skills. Marcus, a tech-savvy inventor, Sarah, a psychic medium, and Jack, a former soldier with nerves of steel. They immediately set to work, gathering information about Billy and the events leading up to his transformation. The townsfolk shared their stories, and the children tearfully confessed their prank, hoping for forgiveness and resolution. Dr. Blackwood listened intently, her sharp eyes taking in every detail. She had dealt with many spirits, but Billy's case was unique. His transformation from a friendly ghost to a vengeful spirit was both tragic and dangerous. The team set up their equipment around the town, using advanced technology to track Billy's movements. Sarah, the medium, reached out to Billy's spirit, trying to understand his pain. They knew that confronting him would require both strength and empathy. Chapter 11. The Ghost Exterminators arrive. Dr. Blackwood and her team walked through the town, feeling the heavy presence of Billy's spirit. They set up their equipment and prepared for the first confrontation. The air was thick with tension as they approached the cemetery, the epicenter of Billy's haunting. Billy's energy was palpable, a cold wind that seemed to cut through their very souls. The team set up a perimeter, using sensors and cameras to monitor any activity. They knew Billy would not be easy to face, but they were determined to bring peace to Hallow Hill. As they waited, Dr. Blackwood briefed her team. "Remember, Billy was once a kind spirit. We need to reach that part of him, no matter how deep it's buried." The team nodded, understanding the gravity of their task. The first encounter was imminent. The townsfolk watched from a distance, their hopes pinned on these strangers who had come to save them. The ghost exterminators steeled themselves, ready to face the wrath of a spirit scorned. Chapter 12. The First Confrontation. The first encounter with Billy was chilling. He appeared as a swirling mass of dark energy, his once friendly face now twisted with anger. The team tried to communicate, but Billy responded with violent outbursts, throwing debris and creating terrifying illusions. Realizing the extent of Billy's rage, the team retreated to devise a new plan. They needed to understand the root of his pain and find a way to reach the spirit of the kind-hearted ghost he once was. Back at their base, Dr. Blackwood reviewed the footage. "We're dealing with a deep emotional wound," she said. "We need to find a way to heal it." Marcus and Jack worked on enhancing their containment field, while Sarah meditated to connect with Billy on a deeper level. The townsfolk, though frightened, offered their support. They provided old letters and artifacts connected to Billy's life, hoping these might help the team reach him. The ghost exterminators knew that their next encounter would be crucial. Chapter 13. Backstory of the Ghost Exterminators. Around a campfire, the team shared their stories. Dr. Blackwood had lost her family to a haunting and dedicated her life to helping others. Marcus developed ghost hunting gadgets after experiencing a haunting in his childhood home. Sarah's psychic abilities were a gift she used to connect with lost spirits, and Jack's military training provided the backbone for their operations. Their bond was strong, and their mission was clear: to free Hallow Hill from Billy's wrath. They had faced many spirits before, but Billy's case was personal and unique. They knew they had to combine their skills and experiences to succeed. Dr. Blackwood's leadership was the glue that held them together. She had faced the darkest of spirits and understood the delicate balance between force and compassion. She reminded her team that Billy was once a guardian of Hallow Hill, and their goal was to bring him back to that state. As the fire crackled, they made a pact. No matter how tough the battle, they would not give up until Hallow Hill was safe. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their mission to bring peace to a haunted town. Chapter 14. The Plan to Trap Billy. Through research and Sarah's psychic insights, the team discovered that Billy's spirit was bound by the love he once felt for the town. They devised a plan to trap Billy using a combination of technology and a powerful ritual. The goal was to contain his spirit and give him a chance to find peace. Marcus created a device that could project a containment field strong enough to hold Billy. Sarah prepared a ritual to reach the kind spirit buried beneath the anger. Jack ensured their safety, setting up defensive measures around the perimeter. The plan was risky, but it was their best chance. They decided to lure Billy to the town square, where they had the most control. The townsfolk were briefed and instructed to stay indoors during the operation. As the full moon approached, the team finalized their preparations. They knew the next few hours would determine the fate of Hallow Hill. The air was charged with anticipation and hope as they set their plan into motion. Chapter 15. The Execution. On the night of the full moon, the team set their plan into motion. They lured Billy to the town square, where they had set up a containment field. As Billy appeared, the team activated their devices and began the ritual. The air crackled with energy as Billy fought against the containment. Billy's rage was immense, and the battle was fierce. Chapter 16. The Final Showdown. Billy's rage was immense, and the battle was fierce. The team struggled to maintain the containment field, and it seemed Billy's spirit might break free. But in a moment of desperation, the children who had played the prank stepped forward, offering sincere apologies and pleading for Billy's forgiveness. Their heartfelt words pierced through Billy's anger. His spirit flickered, showing glimpses of the kind ghost he once was. The team seized the moment, strengthening the containment field and completing the ritual. The air hummed with a powerful force as Billy's spirit was drawn into the vessel Marcus had prepared. The town watched in awe and relief as the field stabilized. Billy's spirit was contained, giving him a chance to find peace. The ghost exterminators had succeeded, bringing hope back to a town that had nearly lost it. Chapter 17. The Aftermath. Billy's spirit paused, and for a moment, the town was silent. The containment field shimmered, and Billy's form softened. The team seized the moment, completing the ritual and sealing Billy's spirit within a specially prepared vessel. The town breathed a collective sigh of relief as the oppressive presence lifted. Hallow Hill slowly returned to normal. The town repaired the damage and held a memorial for those lost during Billy's wrath. The children learned a valuable lesson about respect and kindness. Dr. Blackwood and her team departed, leaving behind a grateful community and a sense of hope. As the years passed, stories of Billy Bob Horndog became legend, a cautionary tale about the consequences of taking kindness for granted. Hallow Hill thrived, but on quiet nights, some claimed they could still hear Billy's laughter, now a gentle reminder of a spirit finally at peace.